I'm Troy and you're watching TroyTube, and today we're going to talk about what I think is probably a fun little Father's Day gift project. So I found this Bluetooth hat with has Bluetooth speakers on Amazon, and I thought, wow, that's kind of intriguing. Let's check that out. And got this hat. It has little controls on the side of it for Bluetooth. Has a rechargeable battery pack and controls here. It has two speakers in the front of it, and it comes blank, so you can decorate the front of it. You can take the electronics out to do that. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. It comes in, what they have listed on there right now is black, blue. It looks like more of a navy blue or a darker blue, and a gray or light gray option for it. And it has the old style, a little plastic adjustable thing, so it fits just about any. I got a pretty big head. I'm a pretty big guy. I'm like 6'5" and 245, 250, something like that. But it's kind of a fun little thing. I thought it was pretty cool. One of the things I thought was intriguing about it, beyond it being like a fun Father's Day type gift, is I did a review on some earbuds that I use. I don't have the Apple iPods. The Apple makes the $200 AirPods that everybody's walking around with, the little white ones. And I bought some basically kind of knockoffs off of Amazon that I did a review on. I love them. I wear them all the time. I use them all the time. Take them to the gym with me and everything. One of the things they do and the Apple AirPods do, is they have this passive listening mode. So when you have them in, you can put them in a mode so that the microphone picks up noise outside of you. So when you're, listening to music or whatever, noises around you will get mixed in, and if someone says something, you'll hear them. And that's good, and can be kind of not so good sometimes, because you hear noise, but one, it's not directional. You can't tell where it's coming from. So a lot of people, I think, will probably think, well, I can wear these at work now because there's not as much danger, because if I'm working in a warehouse, I don't have to worry about a forklift or whatever. Well, that's not really the case, because you can't tell where it's coming from. It's just noise in your ear. The other thing that's not so great about it is those microphones and mixing that noise in. It can be annoying depending on what the environment is. So, for example, when I'm in the gym, if I turn that on, I hear all this just noise, just high-pitched noise that gets mixed in from the different machines that are running, the fans, the air conditioner, all of that, and it's just really a lot of high-pitched noise that gets mixed in. And I thought, wow, this is something that if someone was working outside in their yard and they had this hat on, they want to listen to some music, listen to a ball game or whatever, maybe a podcast, and they could have this on, have it playing and be listening to it, but still hear everything around them and still have directional sound and everything. And I thought, wow, that's kind of neat. At first, it didn't occur to me, but then after I thought about it, I thought it could be actually kind of neat. And then I realized it could be a neat gift too. So we're going to switch over. I'll show you how to set this up, how to pair it and everything with your phone, and then I'll apply some iron-on with this little design, show you how to do that, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more when I'm finished with it. All right, so the hat we received, this hat's black. They do show this available in blue and I think gray or light gray on the Amazon site. You can find this hat in my Amazon store. So if you go to troygraham.com, you'll see an icon right at the top that'll take you to my Amazon store. And from there, you can go to the craft and DIY section and you'll find the Bluetooth hat. You'll see on the left-hand side, you have the controls, and it does come with a USB charging cord that is a micro USB. A lot of people call this an Android cord. It's a micro USB. Android phones use different USB cords depending on what model you have, and modern ones use USB-C, which is what some of the new Apple devices actually use. So it is a micro USB charging cord, and when you get the hat, when you look inside of it, it'll have like a little cardboard insert. You can throw that away, and there is a little flap in here that you pull down, and there will be essentially three things in here. One is you'll see two speakers. There's two pieces of elastic here, and the two speakers, there's one speaker, two speakers that are tucked under there, and then there's another piece of elastic where the controls and battery pack are mounted. And you want to pay attention to how this comes out. The battery charging port and the wires come out of the bottom, and the buttons are facing outward because they line up with the buttons on the outside of the hat here. And so I'll go ahead and show you how it pairs. When you hold in the middle button, which has the play and pause symbol on it, it will come on.
Power on.
You'll hear it say power on, and it's kind of hard to see through there, but there's little holes there, and you can see that it's blinking blue and red, and it shows up as BT01.
Connected.
And you hear that it connected and is paired. And we'll find some music and play real quick here just so you can hear it. Don't want to play too much because YouTube will tag my video and I won't be able to monetize it. But it does work very well. You hold the power button in,
Power off.
and it'll go off. And then you have controls, plus and minus. I think that's probably volume up and down, and forward and back on the songs. I'll have to look at the instructions, but I believe, and I'll check that when we finish the video up here. Normally you press it, short presses for song advance and long press for volume, or vice versa. But the speakers just tuck in behind these little elastic things underneath of this flap. But we're going to take all of this out so that we can apply our design to the front of it. We're going to use some flock material. I'm not sure what brand this is. I had it laying around. We're going to cut some of that and apply to the front of it. We're going to do it with the Cricut Mini Easy Press and just apply something to the front of this hat and see how it turns out. I don't have the Cricut hat press yet. Probably going to get one of those soon, but for now we'll just use a roll of paper towels and put the hat on it, give us something firm to work with, and we'll apply it with the Mini Easy Press. Shouldn't be too big of a deal there. So I'll switch over to the computer, we'll do a little design, and then we'll cut it and weed it and come back and apply it to the front of the hat. All right, we're going to make our design here in Design Space, and we're going to insert some text, and we're just going to type the word Florida. And we're going to change the font to the Brand Ball font, B-R-A-N-N. This is a system font that I've downloaded and installed, and this is the font that a lot of people like to use for things like baseball shirts. And it came in, actually typed it out about the size that I wanted, which is about 4.5 inches. Actually, let's make it just a little bit bigger. Let's go up to about 4.75. And then I'm going to do a couple things here. I'm going to insert another text box, and this time I'm going to hit the number 7 key. And when you're on the Brand Ball font, they use the number keys to insert these special characters. And so let me drag it down where you can see it. And so it makes these tails like people like to use on things like baseball shirts. So I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to adjust this to kind of make it look like the way I want it to look. And you just kind of drag it up there and make it join and overlap the last letter a little bit. And then normally for kerned fonts that are already joined, script fonts that Cricut Design Space can now do, you can leave them alone and they'll cut just fine. You don't have to weld them or anything. But in this case, I do want to make an adjustment. The F doesn't come out quite right. This is a little bit special font. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this one so that I can move the F out separately. And I'm going to do a couple things. One, I'm going to move the F over a little bit. I'm still going to leave it overlapped, but then I'm going to unlock it and make it a little bit taller. And we're going to adjust the size of the tail just a little bit. Just want this to look just the way I want it to look here. No rules in crafting here, so we're going to make that just the way I want it. And the tail's not quite right there. I'm going to move it down just a little. There we go. Nice and clean handoff on the A to the tail right here. And then we're going to highlight it all, and then I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to click weld. And that'll weld everything together and keep it from overlapping the cuts on the different letters. So then we're going to click make it.
And one of the things we're going to do, because it's iron-on or heat transfer vinyl HTV, we're going to mirror it so that it cuts it backwards, because we're going to cut the back side of it. We're going to hit continue, and then it's going to connect to our Cricut Maker. And since it flock doesn't come up here, I'm going to browse and search for it, and we're going to choose flocked iron-on. And I'm going to go ahead and choose more pressure. I don't think more pressure is going to hurt in this case. It is a thicker material, so I did want to apply just a little bit extra pressure and make sure that it cuts nice and clean, so that when I weed it, it will come off nicely. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I'm not going to bore you with video of the actual cuts. Just going to take a few seconds, and then we'll pick the camera back up when it's cut, and we'll weed it and apply it with the Cricut Mini Easy Press.
Okay, so now we have cut our design. We're going to weed it and peel all this off. Not anything fancy here, just a little demo for the video. I think this hat probably make a pretty cool little Father's Day gift or something. I probably should have put a little bit more pressure, or maybe even less pressure, and cut twice. I had a little piece that snagged there, but the rest of it on, it looks like it's peeling and weeding pretty smooth. I had one little corner that didn't detach, and I had to break it with my finger, as you saw there. Let's see how the rest of it goes here. Looks like it's weeding and peeling all pretty smooth though. Might be okay. There's another little piece that didn't come off quite clean, but see if we can get that to separate. There we go. Now, if you haven't used flock material, this is kind of like a little fuzzy material. It almost feels like velvet or something, or suede leather, or something like that. But it'll hide that little seam on the front of the hat. It's a thicker material. Glitter will do it well. Holographic sparkle, Cricut's Everyday Iron-On will probably hide it pretty well, because it is a matte finish. The shinier finish products, like some of the HTV out there has like kind of a glossy finish. It may not hide that quite as well, so you may want to stay away from those. But anything with a matte finish, it will generally hide that seam that's you typically see on the front of a ball cap, and not that big of a deal. I mean, when somebody's wearing it, you don't really see it that much anyway, especially if you're tall like me. I'm like 6'5", so most people don't even see the front of the cap. But you know, when you're up close and looking at it, a little bit easier to see and more visible. All right, so there's our design. I'm gonna put Florida right across the front of that hat, and it might be a little easier if I trim off the excess carrier sheet off the bottom of this. Just a little easier to work with, so I don't have to deal with that wrinkle while I'm trying to flex it around the ball cap and work with it. I need to get me a self-healing mat for down here at our floor place in Florida. I've got one back home. I tell you, it's tough having a second place. Everything, I need 2 of everything. So that's essentially what we're going to do here. So we'll get our press heated up, and we'll come back and apply this here in just a moment. All right, so we're going to put our ball cap on the roll of paper towels here. And hopefully we can see that on the camera okay. I'm going to put our flock material on there and just kind of hold it in place. Take our Mini Easy Press, and we're going to do the first side. And we're going to hold that in place and hold some pressure on it. I'm going to hold that there for about 15-20 seconds or so. going to move it over and overlap it just a little bit and press on the next section. So a couple things I would point out when applying iron-on to this hat. One, the hat, it says it's made out of acrylic. So acrylic is a heat-sensitive material. So when I applied it, I used the Easy Press Mini, and I turned the heat up a little bit too much, and it left it kind of a little, what I call glossing. This is a dark color. And you may be familiar with this if you've made shirts that have sensitive materials in them, like rayon. So a lot of your tri-blend shirts that have maybe a polyester, cotton, and some of them, sometimes they'll have like 25% rayon. And if it's a black shirt or a dark blue shirt or something, when you press them, you'll get like a gloss line that won't go away. And that's because you scorched the material. It's a high, it's a temperature sensitive material. And when you press something on material like that, you need to do it at a lower temperature, at either a longer press or multiple presses at that lower temperature in order to avoid that. This hat, I did get a couple little marks along the edges when I pressed it because I had the temperature a little bit too high. It is acrylic, like I said, so it is a little bit temperature sensitive in that regard. And I do think a hat press will work better for that. And I would probably press it at a little bit lower temperature with multiple presses to apply iron-on to it. It did come out okay. It's not that bad. But this was my first one. Anytime I do something like this, I always get a test product to basically waste and see how it's going to turn out in the end. It's my second one would always probably generally be pretty nice. But I got this, thought it would be a great gift, Father's Day type gift. Again, you can find this in my Amazon store. Go to troygram.com. At the very top, click on my Amazon store, go to the craft and DIY section. When you buy these products, I get a little commission. It helps support my channel, helps support everything I do. So again, with Father's Day coming up here in a couple of months, pretty good little gift, and I kind of like it. And I like my Bluetooth gadgets and my music and everything. So hopefully that's something that will be useful to you. If you have any questions or comments, post them down below.